So what do we have? We have some form of shed there. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell us what you get. Just you have to guess. That doesn't open. Oh, I can't open them because I don't own it. That's piggies. Okay, so that's a pig yard with thing. It appears, I don't know about repair shops, I haven't located them, but most have, that will be a solid fertilizer dispenser, that's your grain silo, and then if we run over here, there is a liquid fertilizer dispenser and a seed, no, diesel dispenser. Where's the seed? Oh, that's the cow barn. Okay, so this yard is cows and pigs, and as you see, you've got the hay, the straw, the silage, and then on the side you've got the minerals. Where is the seed? Oh, the seed's up here. So yeah, you've got a seed dispenser there. Anyway, so this is a yard which has potential. Is that a silage clamp? Interesting to know. Yes, it is. Oh. How much is this yard? Now the other thing with the yard, we're here, is you need to buy the yard and then buy the extra bits as well. So this comes with a grass field. That is plus 76, that's minus 23. So the yard itself is cheap, but the two animal sheds are very, very expensive. I think we have to buy all of, no, that's the piggies, that's the cows, that's the yard. So the yard is at plus 65%, makes it 43,000. 4321 is 60, plus 99, 160,000. 160,000 of our starting money is not bad. And then we could buy, that field's expensive, that field we get, that field is only plus 20%, that is minus 32, so it's actually cheaper than normal. And this field back here is plus 51, so a little bit high, but we could buy that field, and that field has 50. Sunflowers or corn? Sunflowers. Well, there's a thought. We could buy that. I could skip buying the cow barn to start out with. I don't know. It's a thing. It's a possibility. And if we don't buy cows immediately, what we can do, we don't have a house here. Yeah, if we don't buy the cows immediately, then we can mow the grass in that field. I presume we can get into that field. It's a numbered field. And make some money that way. Plus we'd have the sunflowers from the get-go. And I'm one of those strange farmers that actually grows sunflowers in Farm Sim. We'd have to rent the harvest equipment, or lease the harvesting equipment for the first year. The small arable farm is just here on the left. So all you've got here is the grain silo, fuel dispenser. Actually, that looks like an animal shed too. And what we're going to do is I'll reverse into that yard. Ooh. Jump out. That looks like an animal shed. No, it's not. It's a normal shed. So yeah, you got something like seeds there, solid fertilizer there, diesel tank there, liquid fertilizer here. So you've got all of the dispensers you need. You don't have to go to the store for stuff, although you can. That's the thing with those, is you can just go down to the store, pick up big bags of stuff, bring them back to the farm, and then empty them into those dispensers. The advantage with that one is it comes with this house on the left, so there is a sleep trigger. And there's see if there's a turning here. Yes. Yeah, so I mean, one of the things you can do there is I could buy the arable yard and the cow and pig yard and just go from there. Depends how much the arable yard costs, I guess. Okay, here. Fold this. What did this used to be? This used to be canola. Nice. Okay, we are heading at 90 degrees approximately. I can turn the beacons off. So again, we are just gonna harvest some rocks and get this job done. We're heading approximately the right way. I'm going to check the shop sales. So yeah, there is a cultivator. Oh no, that's a subsoiler. I could buy, that's 18,000 and they're cheap. 250 horsepower required. It might be a bit big. You've got the Roland. It's only a 15,000 litre tipper, but it is at half price. It probably has a good weight capacity. And we are playing with realistic weights, so the volume limit isn't the only limit to a trailer's capacity. You also have, you also have the maximum weight it can run with, and so I need to be careful with that. Now, one of the things I have noticed with some YouTubers, if you play with the realistic weight, your trailers and equipment doesn't go all weird on you and get all fidgety on the back of the vehicle because you've got just too much weight in it. A 13-ton trailer can carry 13 tons of stuff, which may be 50% loaded with rocks or 100% loaded with grass and 80% with other crops. But the farm sim physics won't get all squirrely on you and just be a heap mess. But anyway, this field is going to take a fair amount of time longer. Technically what I could have done was borrowed the equipment for both jobs and then set a worker off on the other tractor, and that would have got the jobs done quicker. But as I said, we're not in too much of a hurry. So do I want a subsoiler? I mean, obviously, if I'm going to use something and it's something that is on sale at the store, it's something that is definitely worth considering buying. Now, I tend to find a subsoiler is a lot easier to use than a plough. However, the subsoilers are not standard. Ploughs pretty much pull up big rocks. So if you plough a field, you get big rocks, end of story, and you don't get any weeds. With a subsoiler, some subsoilers pull up rocks, some subsoilers have an increased weed result, and they end up with different textures. I think the let's go to the store. Subsoilers. Okay, this subsoiler, I believe, leaves the surface texture looking like this, so it actually looks like it's been ploughed, whereas the yellow one next to it, this one, or this one, produces a sort of a harrowed look and doesn't produce, at least from what I remember, doesn't produce rocks. So again, having a subsoiler may be a learning experience where we buy one and then decide, I don't like what this one does to me, so I'm going to use a different one. Some of them produce smaller rocks, and I think for the most part cultivators are fairly consistent in their effects. You get cultivation, you get rocks with the deeper cultivators or standard cultivators. Shallow cultivators tend to just tickle the surface of the soil and promote weeds, and so different things. And also, I don't want to buy equipment until I know what size of tractor I'm going to get, because obviously if there's nothing, if there's a larger tractor on sale, something like the one we're driving at the moment, then that might be a good option to buy. I honestly don't know. I don't even know if it'll tell me, because this is borrowed equipment, not hired equipment. But this could be well over 200 horsepower, and good starting out tractor. You can run 6 to 8 meter equipment off it. So maybe that's a deal. But if there's nothing like that, we're going to be stuck with the older high horsepower equipment, which generally doesn't exceed 200 horsepower. And so I'm not going to be able to, that subsoiler was what, 250 horsepower required? Probably not going to work on our thing. So this is the Warrior. It's 247 horsepower base, so not quite big enough. Oh shoot, not quite big enough to run that cultivator, I don't think. Yeah, 250. So you could get away with it. This is a fairly flat map, so I could use the base engine on this, on that subsoiler. It would work, but then the question is, if I'm only ploughing after corn or root crops, then do I just want to rent the plough when I need it? Unless I'm going whole hog into, we're going to grow sugar beets every year or whatever. Kind of like we did on Oak Field, was we're growing sugar beets every year. I need a plough every year because we're ploughing up the sugar beet field when we've harvested it. However, if I'm not doing that, if I'm not growing corn, then I need a plough occasionally when I buy a new field that needs to be ploughed. That's something I haven't checked on this map, is how many fields actually need to be ploughed. And how many are just sitting there, we can buy them and just cultivate them and go. I have had it added a fair amount of mod equipment in. I think, as I said, we've got the mod that tells us how badly used our equipment is. Now there are actually two of these. One gives you the list at the bottom that tells you I've got the tractor, I've got the weight, and I've got the plough on the back, and they're all at 100% maintenance. There's another one that the indicator next to the speedometer on the right hand side of the screen tells you the wear, and then the little paper doll top left of the screen allows you to select equipment, so weight, tractor, plough, and whatever you have selected is what the wear indicator shows. Yeah, you can go either way. I've kind of gotten used to having the list because it's also helpful. It tells me actually what I've got connected to the tractor without having to, do I have a weight? Yeah, I can see I've got a weight. I don't have to look up at the top left. My eyes aren't really drawn to the top left of the screen very frequently, except when, why isn't the plough lowering? Oh, it's not selected. Or why can't I connect, like we had at the beginning of this, why can't I connect the weight? Well, because you have to have the tractor selected to connect stuff to it. That is going to take, I think, a little bit of getting used to, because it's far more particular about what you have selected when you're connecting and disconnecting equipment. Not something that was quite so evident in Farm Sim 19. If I just had one piece of equipment, I didn't have to have that piece of equipment selected to disconnect it. At least I don't remember I had to.
I had one on the branch and one on the mailbox, one on the call and one on the call.
It's only when I had 2 or 3 pieces of equipment that you had to select the piece of equipment you wanted to drop. And if you had the loader arms selected and had an attachment on them, then you would disconnect both. And to disconnect the attachment, you had to have that specifically selected. Same's true here, but as I said, it seems to be a little bit more particular about how, what connects, what doesn't connect, what works and what doesn't. Well, I think 19, if I had a tractor, a weight, and a grain cart on the back and selected unload, even if the tractor was the piece of equipment selected, it would unload the grain cart. It's only when I had multiple grain carts that it would not. It may unload the front one regardless, but the back one you specifically had to select that to unload it. Hey, Starbucks64, welcome to Saturday's stream. Yes, we are on Maypole Farm, and at the moment I don't own anything, as you can see from my bank balance. We're starting from scratch. The reason I went for this this map is because the fields are generally smaller, so we're going to be able to afford to grow the farm more quickly. And we can generally complete multiple jobs on multiple fields, whereas farms with big maps, you kind of get one job done per stream, and it's kind of gets a little bit tedious. You get one job in one field done on one stream. So at least this way, and this ploughing is going to take us a while because it's ploughing, but for the most part, if I've got a good sized harvester, we'll get the harvesting done in 30 minutes and be able to either move on to another field or do something else. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Equipment, we may end up with some 400 horsepower equipment eventually, but we're starting from scratch, so we're not going to be able to afford it unless it's 90% off in the used equipment sale. I'm still kind of... this is borrowed. It's not even leased. This is borrowed equipment. We are doing a contract, so I just borrowed the equipment and we're just getting started. I figured rather than spending a load of time figuring out, do I want to buy this land, do I want to buy that land, which pieces of equipment shall I buy, we'll just get started, we'll earn a bit of money, we'll do a bit of farming, we'll grow a few rocks on somebody else's field, and then we'll figure out where we go from there. I've got the mind of we're probably going to select one of the farms on the west edge of the map. There are 3. Can I set that? So very, very quickly. There's an arable farm there that comes with a house there. There's a cow and pig farm there. And then there's another complex farm down here that comes with 3 grass fields if you purchase all the buildings in the farm. Unfortunately, we are using the variable field price mod. So most of the fields that I'm looking, or most of the yards I'm looking at, are more expensive than base. Up to 75% more expensive than base. So the start is not going to be cheap for the most part. The advantage of that is you could do field flipping if you wanted to without too much in the way of guilt, because there is always a difference between the purchase price and the selling price on a field. It's not quite taking into account the crop you just stole, but if you buy a field at 60,000, you're going to sell it at 50, type of thing. But then there is additional variability on the price of fields. So one of the things you can do is say, I want to buy that field, but currently the farmer wants plus 70% for it, so frankly, not going to buy it. And then, a couple of months later, it may drop in value, and he's so fed up waiting, it's, plus 30%, it's minus 30%, which is a bonus to you. So instead of being a $70,000 field, it's now a $55,000 field. It makes things a little bit more interesting. It makes planning land purchase a little bit more of a consideration. It's not just saying, hey, I'm just going to buy that field, and if I get into trouble I can sell it for the price I bought it. I'm going to buy that field and it may be worth a lot less if I decide to sell it in the future. It'll definitely worth a little bit less, but the current demand for the field may be such that, well, I bought the field with a minus 30% adjustment on it and I'm selling it with a plus 70 adjustment on it, so I am making money from the field, but I'm going to have to hold it for a while for it to adjust by that amount. Or it could get a really sad situation where I buy a field at plus 70%, which is ludicrous, and then decide I don't want this field anymore, and it just hasn't held its value. as I mentioned earlier, we're playing with precision farming. So that's a whole host of new stuff we've got to learn. From my observations on other people with precision farming, I think the target is yield. I want to make sure that I get the best yield from a field, and whatever happens with the environmental score happens with the environmental score. We'll try and make it work, but if there's a choice between improving the environmental score and improving yield, we're always going to go with the yield improvement. The main one on that is weeds. You need, to get the best environmental score, you need to use the spot and spray. And if you use any herbicide on the field, your yield takes a 15% hit. So I want yield. So I'm going to deal with the weeds, but I'm not going to spray them if I can avoid it. But again, since weeds are, I think, even with precision farming running, weeds are a triggered event. This field will never see weeds until there is a crop planted and harvested on it, because it's been ploughed. If you cultivate a field, there will be weeds immediately after cultivating. You can destroy those weeds by just running a seeder over the field. But the next time you run a seeder over the field, it promotes weeds. So you are going to have to deal with the weeds at least sometime. But you can deal with those during the first growth stage of the crop. I'm not sure it's going to be quite as crazy as Realismus's implementation of weeds, where they could grow at any time of the month and any time of the growth. And when you went and harvested a field, you could have weeds growing 10 feet behind the harvester after you'd harvested. So, it was kind of amusing, but I don't believe that's actually that. I think for the most part with giants, weeds happen at the change of a day. So midnight, it updates crop growth, it updates weed growth, it updates all the other stuff. It updates store sales. I think possibly by the end of this game day, we're definitely going to buy land. I may not buy equipment and see what's on sale. Sometimes there's a change in sale equipment over the course of the day. So there may be the opportunity to review, and there may be one or two pieces of equipment on the sale currently that disappear, and one or two that appear before nightfall. And then again, there's usually a more significant change overnight. So we'll see what happens as the day progresses. We're playing with the UK crop calendar, so harvest and planting periods are changed. Can't plant cotton, can't plant sugar cane. You do have the option to plant wheat, canola, oats and barley during both fall as a winter crop and spring as a spring crop. And I think watching Millennial Farmer, I actually learned what the difference is. Was it Millennial Farmer? I think it was Millennial Farmer. But a winter crop needs to freeze in order to promote the budding of the flower.